This is it. The Samsung Galaxy S9 is just around the corner. In fact, the S9 launch event has just been confirmed by Samsung about an hour ago. So it's actually happening on February the 25th, so essentially just a single month left until the S9 is unveiled. So welcome to what's actually the 5th year anniversary of my Final Leaks and Rumors series. This is the series in which I cover every single detail you need to know about an upcoming device right before the release. I've done episodes on the iPhone 8, the iPhone 6, Samsung Galaxy S5, S4, HTC One M8, M9, M10, LG G3, G4, G5, and many more devices over the years. So do subscribe if you're new to the channel, and if you're interested in seeing more Final Leaks and Rumors and Leaks and Rumors episodes like this one. But in this one, I'll be covering everything you need to know about the Galaxy S9. So everything from the design, the display, the camera, special features, storage options, battery, release date, price, and so much more. So hope you all got that popcorn ready to go, or any snack would work, because this is going to be one of those really long but interesting and exciting videos, so sit back and enjoy. Okay, so starting off with section number 1, we have the design. How is the S9 going to look like? Well, we've actually had quite a number of leaks over the past few weeks and a few months, coming from case manufacturers such as ZONEofTECH, Alexar, and many more, all showing their own upcoming cases on the upcoming Galaxy S9. And from these images, as you can see, we can see that for the most part, the S9 looks almost identical to the S8 from last year. Now, aside from those case leaks, we've also had some front glass panel leaks, again showing the front of the S9, the S9 Plus, and then also some presumed hands-on leaks, as well as some photos showing the back of these phones. Now, even though these kind of look identical to the S8, there are actually a few differences coming from the S8, even though those differences are quite small. So, for example, the entire front design is a tiny bit more squared off, and it resembles the Galaxy Note 8 more than the S8. And then another difference is that the front bezels essentially have been thinned out even more. So you do have an even more immersive experience with the S9, although, you know, it's not a massive difference from the S8. However, the back has been changed by quite a bit. So the fingerprint reader has finally been repositioned to the middle as opposed to the right. And then we also get a dual camera module similar to the one that we got with the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 on the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus, and not the regular S9. So this one, the S9, actually seems to still come with a single camera module. Now the Bixby button is still there on the left, so yeah, we still have it. And then same goes for the headphone jack, we still have that as well, so it hasn't been removed. And when it comes to the actual dimensions, the S9 measures in at 147 by 58 by 8.41 millimeters, while the S8 measured in at 148.9 by 68 by 8 millimeters. So interesting enough, these are the actual dimensions. The S9 is going to be both shorter, less wide, but also thicker by 0.41 millimeters than the S8. Okay, so what else in terms of the design? Well, let's talk about the colors. So we've seen leaks showing the S9 in black, blue, gold, and also purple. But these, same as with the S8 and the S7, are probably going to be limited by your region. So black is going to be the standard version, which you'll find pretty much everywhere. Now, moving on to the display, any big display changes? Well, unfortunately, not really. So apart from the reduction in bezel sizes, which I've talked about before, we're still going to see the exact same display sizes. So 5.8 inches on the regular S9 and 6.2 inches on the S9 Plus. So in terms of the display panel, this is still going to be an AMOLED panel. In terms of the resolution, it's going to be 2560 by 1440, so the exact same resolution. Quad HD, by the way, this is Quad HD, not 4K, so unfortunately we're not going to see any 4K display. That would have been perfect for VR. I was wishing for this since the S7 came, so yeah, but no, unfortunately no 4K display on the S9. Hopefully with the Galaxy Note 9, but I'm not counting on it, but hopefully. Now, one display change that might be coming to the S9 is support for HDR10+. So in case you don't know what this is a standard that Samsung features and Samsung uses on their TVs. So this is an alternative to Dolby Vision, which LG uses, for example, and a lot of different manufacturers, but mostly LG. So HDR10+ is royalty free, so this might be pushed to the S9 by Samsung in order to make HDR10+ a more common standard. So this wasn't leaked, by the way. This is something that I believe is coming with the S9. It's not confirmed, but it will make a lot of sense since Samsung is focusing heavily on HDR10+ because they mostly don't want to pay the royalties to Dolby for Dolby Vision. Then moving on to the camera, there's quite a lot of things that I want to cover here, so this is going to be a long section, so buckle up. So this is where the big changes are finally coming. So first off, in all the S9 leaks that we've seen, and in every single S9 report, The S9 Plus was the one that featured the dual camera module, whereas the S9, the regular S9, came with a single camera module. So dual camera module means that we'll probably see 2x optical zoom, or maybe even more than 2x. We've actually had some reports that the S9 Plus would support 10x optical zoom. Now, I would say that 2x is definitely going to be the case, at least at the same zoom level as we had with the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. But again, that's only going to be on the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus, not the S9. Now, speaking of the regular S9, we've actually had a fairly recent leak of the box of the S9, not the S9 Plus. And here we can actually see that we get a dual pixel, 12 megapixel optical image stabilization camera, which if you don't know what a dual pixel camera is, it doesn't mean that it comes with two modules, by the way, just that every single pixel on the camera sensor is used for autofocusing as opposed to, just a few pixels. So you get extremely fast and accurate focus, essentially. This is something that we had ever since the Galaxy S7, so it's nothing new. However, what's really interesting here is that on the box it says f1.5, f2.4 aperture. So this could mean, even if this is still a single camera module, it might mean that the aperture would be switchable. So in that case, this would be the world's first phone to do that. And the interesting part here is that we actually got a leak on this. So an anonymous user posted this video on Weibo of what appears to be a Samsung phone prototype featuring this dual aperture mechanism. Okay, so you might be wondering why on earth would Samsung do such a thing? Wouldn't the f1.5 aperture be better in all situations because it's a larger aperture and it captures more light? Well, yes, it's better, and you also get a more shallow depth of field, whereas the f2.4 aperture, with that one you get more objects in focus in the scene, which essentially means that by combining the two, it will allow Samsung to still have that bokeh or that portrait mode effect on the regular S9, not just the S9 Plus. So essentially the same portrait mode effect that we've seen with the iPhone 7 Plus and newer and with the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. So that's my theory. This is what I believe that dual aperture might be used for. Maybe it's gonna be used for something else. But then at the same time, if you take a look at the Google Pixel 2, this one already features a portrait mode, even though it only has a single lens. So it turns out that the Pixel 2 actually uses the difference in distance between each individual pixel on the sensor to artificially create this bokeh / background blur effect. And actually, the reason you can do this is because the Pixel 2 also comes with a dual pixel sensor, just like the Samsung Galaxy S7, the S8, and the S9. So essentially, Samsung could implement the same technique without the need to use that dual aperture mechanism. But I'm guessing that, that they're just still not there when it comes to machine learning when compared to Google, obviously. So Google's leading by quite a number of years when compared to the competition in terms of machine learning. Even when compared to Apple, by the way, Google's leading by a lot in terms of machine learning. And leaving that aside, we also got some reports coming from Giz China that claim that the S9 Plus would be coming with a 12 megapixels and 13 megapixels dual camera setup. So we don't really know the apertures for both, but it's most likely going to be 12 megapixels. That camera is going to have an f1.5 aperture and f2.4 for the second one for consistency purposes with a regular S9. But one of the biggest camera improvements apart from the f1.5 aperture from f1.7, which would actually improve low light performance by a lot. And then also, apart from a brand new image sensor made by Sony and Samsung, by the way. So yes, two similar sensors for keeping up with the production of the Kardashians. So the video is actually going to be the biggest change apart from the aperture. So both the S9 and the S9 Plus would support 4K video at 60 frames per second, which is something that we only see on the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 10 currently. So essentially very, very smooth and fluid 4K video. And also, super slow-mo is something that's listed on the box of the S9. This is how Samsung's branding this, apparently. So basically, 960 frames per second slow motion video. Now, for those of you who are a bit skeptical about this, Sony already has this on their Xperia XZ Premium phone. So it's most likely going to be the exact same implementation, which means 720p video. So yeah, the resolution isn't going to be the sharpest, but you do get 40 times slower footage, which is insane if you think about it. You can slow-mo a clip 40 times. You can make it 40 times slower, which is absolutely insane. So yeah, the X9 and the Xperia XZ Premium would be the only phones at the moment for doing that, which if you think about it is crazy having this on a smartphone because you obviously don't have 960 frames per second on even a high-end camera. You have to buy like those extremely, I'm not even sure if Red cameras can do 960 frames per second. I'm not sure. Probably not, I'm not sure. Okay, so we've talked about the design, the display, the camera. Now, what about the specs? So in terms of the specs, in terms of the CPU, we're going to have two versions. So the international S9 version will come with the Exynos 9810, while the US model will actually come with the Snapdragon 845. Now, both are actually based on a 10nm process. The Snapdragon 845 comes with 4 high-performance cores clocked at 2.8 GHz each, and 4 low-performance cores clocked at 1.7 GHz. So yeah, it's pretty powerful, but the Exynos 9810 is actually even more powerful than that, with 4 high-performance cores at 2.9 and 4 low-performance cores at 1.9 GHz. So yeah, the Exynos 9810 is a tiny bit more powerful. Other than that, both support OpenGL ES 3.2. The Snapdragon 845, by the way, actually supports DirectX 12 versus DirectX 11. Then both support 4K video at 60 frames per second, but then the Exynos 9810 actually supports 4K video in up to 120 frames per second. But other than that, the Snapdragon 845 can take stills in up to 32 megapixels versus 24 megapixels on the Exynos 9810. So overall, they're pretty similar. But if you take a look at what's actually the biggest advantage of the Exynos or the Snapdragon over the other model, well, that's actually in the Exynos case, aside from performance, it's also 4K video at 120 frames per second. So it seems that the international version of the S9 would support 4K video in up to 120 frames per second, while the US variants would be limited to 4K 60. Now, I believe that Samsung would actually block 4K 120 support for the international models just to keep them consistent to the US variants. Because if you take a look at what Samsung has done for the past 3 years now, the Snapdragon processors have actually lagged behind Samsung's own Exynos chips. But Samsung cannot manufacture enough Exynos chips, reason why they have to use Qualcomm Snapdragons as well. And they actually limited the performance of the Snapdragon, of the Exynos chips in the end, because they wanted to keep them consistent. So a lot of features were actually blocked on the international models just to keep them consistent with the US models. And I'm guessing that this is gonna be the case again with the S9 with 4K 120 frames per second. Let me know in the comments, what do you guys think about all this? Do you think Samsung should restrict the international models to just 4K 60, or do you think they should leave the international models at 4K 120, which is what they actually support with the Exynos 9810? Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this. And let's talk about the RAM. So in terms of the RAM, pretty much every single leak, including the box leak, said that the S9, the regular one, would come with 4 GB of RAM, whereas the S9 Plus would actually come with 6 GB of RAM, which I would say is pretty underwhelming on both. Now, I was actually expecting to see at least 6 GB of RAM on both, if not even 8. Considering that if you take a look at some Chinese smartphones that come with 8 GB of RAM, keep in mind that those phones actually come with a near stock Android experience. So essentially with a very lightweight skin on top. Now, if you take a look at Samsung, Samsung still uses Grace UX, Samsung Experience, which is what they're kind of calling it now. It's still TouchWiz, which is a very heavy skin, by the way, literally the heaviest overlay on an Android smartphone right now. And yes, the Bixby button is still there, so we still have Bixby. We've seen this, the button on the side in quite a number of leaks. And then speaking of Bixby, Samsung's also adding Bixby to some smart fridges. So yeah, Bixby won't be going away anytime soon. And then you also have a ton of bloatware running in the background on a Samsung device. So the Galaxy App Store, I mean, why do we still have this? And then essentially we get a duplicate of almost every single Google app. So a Samsung Calendar, we get a Samsung Clock, we get a Samsung Gallery app, we get a Samsung Health app, and I could go on and on. So what we need from Samsung is either less bloatware and better optimization, or just more memory, because at the moment the S8 lags pretty badly. So if you don't think it lags, it's because you haven't used the Google Pixel or an iPhone to see how bad the lag really is. But yes, it lags a lot. Moving on to the special features, is there anything new, interesting, and unique that the S9 would come with? Well, kind of, but not really. So probably the most noteworthy feature, so to say, get it? Noteworthy? Okay, that was a bad joke. So that feature would be the dual speakers. So we've seen this in the box leak, stereo speakers tuned by AKG. Now I'm guessing that these would work in the exact same way as they do on the iPhone 7 and newer. So essentially dual speakers in the way that the earpiece on the top is a speaker by itself, rather than having two front stereo speakers like on the Google Pixel 2, for example, or the Razer phone. Now, I'm actually looking forward to this quite a lot, because the speakers on the S8, the S7, and pretty much every single Samsung Galaxy flagship before have been pretty bad. So the speakers weren't great, the sound was muffled, and finally this is getting fixed, hopefully, with the S9. But other than that, we've seen some leaks that the DX dock might be, the Samsung DeX dock might be improved with a second generation, but other than that, no new major features coming to the S9. Okay, so what about the storage options? Well, 64 gigabytes seems to be the baseline option, just like we had with the S8, and then also microSD card support is said to still be there, so pretty much the exact same storage options as with the S8, so no improvements here at all. Now, what about the battery? So in terms of the battery, a Brazilian mobile regulator company called Anatel, they unveiled the battery to remain the same from the S8. So no changes when it comes to the battery. So essentially 3000 mAh for the S9 and 3500 mAh for the S9 Plus. And a few other reports have said the same thing, that the battery is going to be unchanged from the S8. Now, a lot of people were disappointed to hear this, including myself, but keep in mind that the Snapdragon 845 and the Exynos 9810 are going to be more power efficient than last year's models, so the battery life would actually be improved. It won't be exactly the same as before. Okay, so when is the S9 going to be unveiled and released? Well, according to Evan Blass, which you're all probably familiar with, he reports that the S9 and the S9 Plus would be announced at a February the 26th event, followed by a March the 1st pre-order, and followed by a March the 16th release, which is actually about a month earlier than the S8 was released from last year. And just as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, the S9 launch event has actually been confirmed by Samsung, so this is now official. It's happening on February the 25th, not 26th, so just a single day difference before from what Evan Blass predicted. So this is how the event post looks like, by the way. The camera reimagined, possibly pointing towards that dual aperture camera on the S9 or the f1.5 aperture, which would make it a noticeable improvement in low light. So I'm really curious to see what other camera improvements Samsung makes apart from the aperture mechanism and the larger aperture and the dual camera module, but that's not really something new because they already had that on the Note 8, so that's not anything new. But I'm curious to see what other camera changes and improvements Samsung makes with the S9. And finally, let's talk about the price. How expensive, or how cheap, most likely expensive, is the S9 going to be? Well, in terms of the actual prices, Forbes, Telegraph, and a few others reported that the S9 is going to be a bit more expensive than the S8 was, most likely by around $100 or 100 euros or £100 in the UK, more than the S8 and the S8 Plus were, which actually means that the S9 Plus should start at close to £900 in the UK and $950 or $1,000 in the US. So this thing is not going to be cheap, especially the S9 Plus, which is obviously going to be the one that most people will probably get because, you know, it comes with the dual camera modules. Overall, it's a better option from the S9. But in the end, after everything that I've covered in this video, is the S9 worth it? And I would say yes, but only if you're coming from an older device. If you're coming from a Note 8 or S8, it's definitely not. So the camera improvements, they seem to be significant. The performance improvements are okay, but other than that, it's just, you know, it only comes with a better speaker, and other than that, no major changes. But yeah, there you go. This was it. Final Leaks and Rumors on the S9. Please subscribe if you want to see more Final Leaks and Rumors episodes and more Leaks and Rumors episodes like this one. And then also let me know in the comments. Oh, also don't forget to enable notifications so that you get notified whenever a new video comes out. You can do that by tapping on that bell icon next to the subscribe button. And finally, let me know in the comments, what do you guys think about the S9 and the S9 Plus? Do you think it's worth it? Do you think it's not? Are you going to get one or not? Feel free to give a like if you have enjoyed it to let me know. This one took a really long time to make, so every feedback is really appreciated. And other than that, this has been pretty much it. I'm Daniel. See you guys in my next one. ZONEofTECH, signing off. Cheers.